Pear-shaped girl, there are some styles that just don't do what we want them to do on our body, and you may inherently know this, but the purpose of today's video is to help you navigate why the things that you're trying on aren't working and the solutions to finding the pieces that will work for you whenever you're shopping. Now, my disclaimer before we get into today's video is it's your body, style it however you want. Really, more than anything, my intention today is to help you to see why something's not working, so when you're looking at it on your body, you can find a solution that actually makes you excited about getting dressed, but also helps you understand why it's maybe not working the way that you want it to versus seeing yourself as a problem. We're gonna get into that for you, we're gonna get into that for me, and we are gonna find the best pieces so you can rock your fashion every day. Number one, flare jeans are not our thing. You'll know that I am not a flare jean girl. Here's the thing though, and this comes with its own like caveat that I kind of explained in our last video, that flare jeans or wide leg jeans, you can search them on any site, whether it's like My Choice, Nordstrom, wherever you're shopping for clothes, and you will get such a variation of them. And that's not necessarily the most helpful for you because you obviously need to know what to look at and understand why it's not working for you. So with flare jeans, the issue tends to be that it comes in at the knee and then flares out at the bottom. If you're more petite gal like I am, the flare doesn't actually pop because you don't have that length of your leg to make it pop. B, if you are a pear-shaped girl, because of the way that we carry a weight on our bodies, it's gonna be a little bit wider in our knee naturally, so we're not gonna get that sink in to flare out. I feel like this does really, really well on athletic girls, but that flare doesn't do the same for us. Wide leg jeans are an option, but if you get them where the flare is too big, you can get like the wide leg with the flare. It can look like a pool of fabric. So wide leg jeans are a much better alternative if you're looking for something that's got a little bit more of that flare, but maybe not necessarily with a ton of fabric. But like in general, you're gonna find it hard to find flares that work for you. A, because it's not gonna do the flare thing at the bottom, and B, just because of how we're designed versus like the cut of the knee on the jean. Now, this is when I think you probably start to gravitate towards more naturally. Once you know it, you'll see it and recognize it more consciously and will veer away towards it. And it's dresses that hit at the belly button. They just don't balance everything out for us. What ends up happening is we have a good portion of our weight at the bottom. So if we want to kind of balance the top of our body with the bottom of our body, we really need to be hitting like in our waist versus around our belly button, because otherwise it just, everything looks really bottom heavy on us and we don't have the top half to balance it out in the same way. So this is something you'll notice when you're shopping that you might either need to get tailored or you might want to be mindful of about being able to adjust the strap or the belt on whatever it is you're wearing, but opting for something that's going to cut in the waist versus like around the belly button is going to help you just feel a lot more balanced, but to also balance out what it's already kind of naturally balanced in your body, so everything doesn't just look so like bottom heavy. The other part of that is that if you're balancing at the center, one of the things we don't think about as much is how something styles on our back when we're wearing it, because we tend to look at everything from the front side of view. So when we're styling it from the back, if it's cutting up a little bit higher, we're really gonna get that curvature of our back and really kind of accent the top of the butt, which is what we want to look a little bit more lifted. And if we're in a dress, we don't really have the bottom to give us the lifting option. So number 3 is corset tops, and you can see that I'm wearing one currently. I've taken the straps off of this just because it didn't work with the necklace, but this is one of those that I find in general, corset tops as well as any like squared top is probably not gonna hit the same on us as it would on other girlies. Partially because I find that with my pear shape, I almost have like, I feel like I'm missing like an inch here, because again, the naturalness of a pear shape is that we are more narrow at the top than we are at the bottom, so everything kind of scooches in a little bit more. So while it might fit well around here, it's gonna like hang out here and just constantly fall off. So looking for things that are gonna hit a little bit more in, not necessarily on this like gap right here, unless you want to fight the shoulder game all night long, or something that actually comes in on the bra. So this actually has straps that come like right here and that go over and that are perfectly fine and tightened. But in general, that's one of those things that like you just don't think about it until you know it, and then you want to be mindful about making sure the straps are a little bit more in. But that also goes along with bodysuits. So I tend to talk about this quite a bit, but I really love something that's collared here or even scalloped here towards the center, because it just looks a lot more elegant, it looks a lot more put together, and it looks like you're dressing for your body. When you get those like wider cut. If it's a thin strap, it's fine. If it's a wider strap, it's going to off balance you a little bit more, and it's not going to give you the curve in at the center of your waist that you really want. If it's a wider strap, it's going to hit wider than your waist, and so you're not going to get that like cut in vision when you're working with it. So opting for something that's a little bit more in, or a thinner strap with a bodysuit is going to look a lot better than maybe the chunkier wider strap ones, or even the square neck tops. I tend to not do this very often, or if I do, I chuck them over the shoulders and like give some space up top. So my sweaters are still up for the fall winter seasons. We're going to use this top as an example, and there will be a TikTok that talks a little bit more about this in depth, but this particular sweater is one that's about to exit my closet for a few specific reasons, specifically for us pear-shaped girlies, because it doesn't have the slits at the bottom. So we love the top portion. The top portion looks great, but what happens with the bottom is everything balloons on the top for us. So whenever you're going to like wear it, you're either just going to have a bunch of fabric that's kind of ballooning at the side. You're not going to get your waist because it's going to be so wide. It's quite thick, so it's not as versatile to be able to like tuck it in or really function in that capacity with it. And even if you do tuck it in, again, you're still going to get a balloon portion at the top, and because we tend to be a little bit smaller on the top portion of our body, it's just not going to work the same. But at the same time, there's not a lot of ease with tucking this in or manipulating it, so you're still getting that balloon on the back. And again, we really want to kind of carve out that curve a little bit. It doesn't have to be bodycon if that's not your go-to, but there are ways in which we kind of really hide the shape of our body or don't address it in the most like elegant way for us. And tops like these that don't have that slit on the side, that don't allow for us to kind of naturally go over those curves, really just end up again ballooning, especially because we're starting to like widen down here and it wants to go out, but it's not going to quite lay as flat and as chic as we want it to. So something like this, not necessarily a vibe, but like picking sweaters that are either a bit more wide, a bit looser, they don't have that like rounded bottom to them, or have a slit on the side that gives you a little bit of flexibility with how you tuck it in. I found that it's not that easy to do the like half tuck kind of vibe with a sweater for us, especially if I'm like accommodating, just making things look good and not making it look like I have a lot of fabric on. Because again, as much as I'm dressing for my front, I'm also dressing for my back, and like I can't get around having to dress for my butt. She's there, she's present, she's going to take up a lot of space. So you're not really gonna probably want to do a lot of that like tucking in. I feel like that works really well for the girls that are a little bit more athletic or a little bit more like box framed. For us who are a bit more curved at the hips, something like this, A, we can't do that same like kind of tucking in, and B, this just doesn't suit our particular frame in the best way. This one's probably gonna be a little bit obvious, but micro skirts aren't gonna work for us, and micro skirts aren't gonna work for us from a practical standpoint because we carry weight in our butt and our hips, so it's gonna just naturally be shorter on us. If you want to go for like that shorter skirt, you're probably gonna need to lean towards a mini, and depending on how much like junk you got in the trunk at the moment, that might end up being a little bit more of a micro vibe. But like nobody wants to have to worry about the fact that their butt isn't actually covered on a night out. So we know that it probably doesn't work for us. I don't necessarily need to tell you, but you know, maybe we find one and then it does work, and then we all just get to try it. Let me know in the comments below. Like I love the Miu Miu skirts. I really like that particular trend. I feel like it's really fun, but it's one of those that I don't feel like is geared towards curvy girls really specifically, because that fabric would leave like my butt's gonna be out, like the base level of my butt is gonna be out, because it's just gonna be a shelf for the skirt. So mini over micro, and if you find an alternative, I found an alternative, I'll let you know in the comments. And the last thing in the this not that category for us is boxy dresses. So I found the cutest white dress a few years ago, and I really was like, this is so cute, this is so fun. Like I was a smaller size, I thought it was gonna be great, and I really didn't fully know my body style, was still kind of getting into understanding how to dress it, and B, didn't realize that like boxy just doesn't work for me / doesn't work for us in the best way possible, because it really overwhelms the top part. And again, we are going to be smaller up here than we are at the bottom, so like trying to match this like whole combo isn't the same vibe. I find that if you have something a little bit boxy on the top and it's not quite working for you, again, slide it off to the shoulders. I will pop a reel on screen for you guys where I did this with a piece that I rented from Rent the Wrong Way. And it's one of those, like, if it's just not working, sometimes you need to open the space up a little bit more, because your shoulders are going to match your hips more than the boxiness at the top of an outfit is going to match your hips. And again, we are really kind of dressing everything to accommodate what's going on in the lower portion of our body. So boxy's not going to work. Now that doesn't mean you have to do bodycon. I love a bodycon dress. You could also do a wrap dress. You could do something that is a little more naturally off the shoulders, a little bit more floofy even. You guys have seen this dress a couple of times. It is inside out currently from Petal and Pup, and it does have that like off the shoulder vibe that still goes out on the side. It isn't super tight, so that's going to favor your body a little bit more like an off the shoulder kind of moment versus something that is boxy, or where you're trying to accommodate again the shorter width of our shoulders naturally versus the hips that we're trying to accommodate / style to the best of our ability. So that is all I have for today's video. Let me know in the comments if this helped you and gave you some alternatives, or helped you figure out maybe why some of the pieces that you're trying aren't working for you. There's a few styles that I'm seeing even after filming my fall video for you guys a few weeks ago that are starting to be a little bit more prevalent and kind of popping, and I'm going to navigate those and see if there's anything that we need to know in that capacity. Like button-up vests are becoming more of a thing. There's very specific trends right now that feel like they are a bit more elevated, and I will also I'm thinking about doing a video of the best like pant styles that are geared towards pear-shaped girly. So if that's you and you want that video, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe. I upload new videos every week. If you want to see more style content, I am on all the social platforms. Pick whichever one is your most favorite. I will probably be doing some more individualized styling videos over on my blog, so subscribe to the newsletter. I will link that down below. We do have a new metallic skirt in for the fall. You guys know I love a metallic moment, so always looking to sell new things. But I love you. I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I will see you all in next week's video. Bye guys.